Autism is a difficult thing to represent to those who aren't on the spectrum. Oftentimes, it's other neurodivergent people who get each other. Especially being autistic myself, I definitely understand this quite a bit. So believe me when I tell you that the majority of cultural media does not understand how to represent autism or neurodivergency. Okay, that might just be the most jarring intro I've ever done for a video, but if you stuck around long enough to hear this, it probably did its job well. In recent memory, more and more media have attempted to represent neurodivergency, with it becoming a more relevant topic in recent memory, thanks to more information, research, and diagnoses being done these days on the subject. It's understandable, production companies want to appeal to this group. The only problem is, they clearly don't know how. Practically every film or show I have seen that tries to touch upon this absolutely misses the mark every time, in my opinion. That is, with live-action shows at least. In the world of animation, it's a different story. More often than not in animated media, characters that are seen as neurodivergent seem to resonate with people like myself so much more. But why is that? Well, as someone who's been professionally diagnosed as autistic for about a decade now, let's dive into exactly why animation seems to understand how to represent this so much better than live-action media. So, for starters, what pieces of media contain direct or indirect representations of neurodivergency at all? There are actually a number of examples of this, but in this particular video, I only want to go over a few notable examples from both the live-action camp as well as the animation camp. Let's start with animation and look at Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. Lilo is often shown as showing signs of autism to many people who have seen the 2002 Disney animated feature, myself included. She showcases a lot of unique hyperfixations, especially with her being very interested in Elvis Presley, which, for a young girl in 2002, assuming the movie takes place the same year it came out, definitely makes her stand out a lot in her willingness to discover and appreciate media from far before when she was even ever born. She also does showcase struggles in being able to relate to her peers and a lack of interest in doing other things girls her age are. She eventually finds an emotional connection in the form of Stitch, who she adopts thinking he's a dog. Despite them getting off to a rocky start, Stitch does end up being enough of a board for Lilo's emotions and thoughts to bounce off of, until she is finally able to heal and help mend her broken family. That is genuinely a very good representation of a lot of the struggles autistic people can face at times. Perhaps the genius of it all is that Lilo isn't explicitly said to be autistic within the film, but because she showcases so many of these traits, it helps people like myself perhaps see a portion of our struggles within Lilo. Now, to discuss a similar character who is actually explicitly stated to be autistic and is in the live-action camp, let's look at, music from Sia's film Music. Whoopee! There's been enough said on this film already, and what makes it so genuinely awful that I won't waste your time discussing that, since it's all been said before and much better than I could likely discuss it. What I will talk about, however, is how music is generally one of the worst representations of any sort of neurodivergency within media. The wildest part is, she actually does share a lot of the same building blocks as Lilo. She has hyperfixations, she has a struggling relationship with a sister, and she has struggles connecting to others. So, what makes this portrayal bad, as opposed to how Lilo was handled? Unfortunately, music is more or less shown as a pet, or something less than human, in the majority of this movie. The actress chosen to play music, Maddie Ziegler, is not an autistic individual, which already raised many red flags when this casting decision was announced to the press. As a result, she over-exaggerates any emotion or behavior that is supposed to be reminiscent of a neurodivergent person, and it ultimately comes off as not very genuine, pretty disrespectful. Really, Lilo is the better representation, because she is human and shows a lot of very human flaws that she is ultimately able to come to terms with by the end of the film. Now to look at a different example, let's look at Rintaro Okabe from the anime Steins. I have discussed this anime in a few other videos of mine, but one thing I have not mentioned yet is how it actually showcases a character who has been speculated to be neurodivergent by a lot of different people, and I personally can see it myself. Okabe has been considered to be autistic by a few different people, as well as a few different characters in the show. He shows a tendency to overthink things, is easily overwhelmed, and also puts on a mask showcasing his true demeanor, due to wanting to stand out more or get noticed by people. While not all of these are purely neurodivergent traits, they are amplified in a particular way that does resonate with people on the spectrum. He also possesses a high IQ and ability to figure out what the solution is to most situations via deduction, and while a show like this could easily miss the mark here, making this his only character trait, it doesn't, and instead makes him very human, with plenty of relatable flaws and ability to still communicate and sympathize with those around him. Now to look at a live action example, let's look at a similar character who, oddly enough, also possesses a high IQ and also wears a lab coat. Oh no. Unfortunately, I am talking about none other than Sean Murphy from The Good Doctor. This is yet another inaccurate depiction of autism from a young live-action source. Sean Murphy is a young autistic doctor who possesses incredible skill in performing surgeries but lacks any communication skills or social awareness, which, again, is just a stereotype. Not all autistic people are like this, and just presenting the same kind of character when trying to represent this sort of thing can be very misleading and create a boxed-in view of neurodivergency. In reality, autism and neurodivergency as a whole is a wide spectrum and affects everyone on it in vastly different ways. Someone like Okabe is actually a positive example of this, since he showcases a lot of emotion throughout the series, from breaking down emotionally from feeling powerless, to his incredible scene with Kurisu that is some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in an English anime dub, which I talked about in my voice acting video. So really, characters like Okabe or Lilo showcase this in a much better light than characters like Music or Sean ever could, since they are portrayed as real people with real flaws, not soulless robots or pets. For my last example, I want to discuss one of my favorite examples of neurodivergency in animation, that being Tails the Fox, from the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Specifically in Sonic X and the recent Sonic films from Paramount, Tails has rung a chord with autistic people like myself for a long time. I've been a long-time Sonic fan, but Tails always stood out to me as just a really genuinely likable, sweet companion to Sonic. He's immensely loyal, and much of his backstory is relatable for neurodivergent folks. He always felt different from other Mobians, and was often picked on for being different, having two tails. As a result, he was often left alone, working on machinery or gadgets. However, upon meeting Sonic, he realized his differences made him unique, and he chose to embrace them and found a true friend in Sonic. This is probably one of the most pure, wholesome examples of any neurodivergent character, and Tails is probably my favorite out of any of them just because it makes me so happy to see him exhibiting so many of these traits and just being happy with who he is, as simple as that may sound. But unfortunately, not all good things can last, as evidenced by the last live-action example I've decided to give, and perhaps the most notorious one, that being Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory as a whole is pretty much the definition of what clueless network executives think nerds will want to watch or resonate with, but Sheldon especially is a pretty blatant example of missing the mark in so many ways. He has his hyperfixations on superheroes and science fiction, because that's all the writers could think of for nerd-related media, and his lack of social awareness, and that's about it. He's not a fleshed out character, and he does not really have any traits for people to resonate with. So really, with animated autism representation and live-action autism representation, it seems to boil down to how characters are written. But I think one key thing that also helps in this regard for animation is the fact that animation is being used as the medium. You're not seeing actors through a camera, you're hearing voice work combined with animation. This actually provides a major advantage for animation to be authentic when it comes to autistic representation. Since there's no need for over-exaggerating certain motions or fidgeting, the voice and the performance of such carries the character and helps it resonate in people's hearts that much more. So thanks, animation, for giving me and so many more characters that we can resonate. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a like anyway. And thank you for 1,000 subs on YouTube. We are finally at 1,000 subs. This is a huge deal for me. This is something I've really been pushing for quite a bit this year and last year. So thanks y'all for everyone that supported me, watched my content, given it a like, shared it around. All those things have helped a lot. And every little bit helps as we made our way towards this goal. Let's keep going upward and onwards. All my links are down below, all my socials. Stream on Twitch about 4 times a week. Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, all that good stuff down there in the description below. Leave a comment if you can too, that really helps a lot with the algorithm. Give it a like, share, subscribe, do all those things. That really helps my videos out quite a bit and helps me keep doing this as a full-time content creator. But for now, I've been Noah the Otter, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye!